The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. Hosted by Dave Hondel.
Yeah, I think you see just what it's headed. Let the hammer off, unlet it. No gas, all effort. I'ma do it cash, no debit. I spin it corners in a slingshot.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Stage Door tonight. This is Dave Hondel, and I'm excited tonight, man. I got Doe The Paperboy with me, hip-hop artist out of Virginia, man. Doe, how's it going tonight?
Man, everything's good, man. All is blessed. How you doing?
I'm doing just perfect, man. I'm doing perfect because, man, I watched your music video, more play. I gotta tell you, man, for somebody who directs music videos, you did an incredible job with that music video, and the black and white too. Man, it's just incredible. I want people to go see your YouTube channel and catch that. We'll talk about that later. But talk about the hip hop scene down in Virginia where you're at, man. What's it like down there, and how do you fit into that?
Oh, so it's a lovely scene, man. Like I said, it's a lot of space for artists to make their own way. It's a lot of different styles, so it's not like boxed in. You got some people that sound like they're truly Southern. You have some other MCs that's more conscious. It's not as organized as I think it should be, but we just had an artist out of Petersburg that actually got signed to Pusha T, and then Trey Songz is actually from where I'm from. Then you got 7-5 out there. You know, you got your major artists and stuff like that. So we actually have the potential to lead up to something great. You know what I'm saying? So I think the music scene is right where it needs to be right now. And it's like I said, it's a great thing, man. It's just to be a part of it for so long, because I've been a part of the music scene for a minute.
What do you bring to our listeners that want to check you out? I mean, what are some things that you can bring to the hip hop scene, and what can we get that other people don't give us?
So, first of all, I call myself like responsible rap, responsible hip hop. I'm more of a, very conscious MC, very conscious of what I say and how I say it, because I believe that, through you speaking words and it's going into people's ears, you're shaping the foundation of who that person is, that they really, subscribe to who you are. So I think that, most importantly, first and foremost, I'm responsible with the message. So, my platform is very important to me, and I just want to make sure that if a person takes the time to actually listen to me, I want to let them leave every time they turn my music off, that they think and have thought-provoking things that actually build them instead of destroy. Like, I'm a builder. Like, you know what I'm saying? I've always been that type of person, so I want to make sure that I'm building. There's some artists out there that build as well, but, for me, it's like everything about me says I want to build, not destroy. So that's me in hip-hop.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the days that we're in right now, the times that we're in. You said you've been in music for a while. I mean, obviously, things evolve and things change, and it depends on what's going on socially in our neighborhoods and, what's going on out there. So, talk about your message is obviously important to you because you just said that. But, I think a lot of times hip hop's music, and a lot of times hip hop, it sounds good and it's great to vibe to, but, if it doesn't have that message, it sounds like it's important to you. So talk about some of the things that inspires you to write. Is it socially? What inspires you to write your music?
Well, first of all, life is always full of circumstances. What I'm saying? Ups and downs, disappointments, achievements, and things like that. But when I approach a record or when I want to write something, it's all about a feeling. So if I say I've been through something kind of traumatic and I relive it again in these vivid moments in my mind, I'm able to create it, on paper. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to have somebody recall the same way I recall. So I'm going to give it to them the true feeling of what it is, the definition of whatever it is I'm trying to explain. So that's how I've always been as an MC. So I'm just inspired by all kinds of stuff, man. I was in the store one day. I'll tell you a funny story. I have a store in the mall where I'm at, and I had a friend of mine that walked into the store. He said, "What's up, Joseph?" And I was like, "Joseph?" I was like, "Where did you get that from?" He was like, "Saint Doe." So it's an album. It's a track on my album called Saint Doe. And he said the reason why he called me that is because I'm his friend that he's accountable to. Like, I hold him responsible socially, all kinds of ways, responsible for whatever he says and whatever he do. So he always called me for good advice. So I decided to lay a track out and call it Saint Doe. So that one moment and that one conversation that actually transformed into an actual record. You know what I'm saying? So I could be talking to you right now and actually get inspired by something you say, and it might transform into a record. So at all times, I'm looking for a reason to write a song, basically.
Ears are always open, man. I like that. I like that a lot. Talk about Doe the Paperboy, and where did you come up with the name, first of all, and second of all, I mean, how does that equate to, I guess, people going to your site or checking you out? I mean, it's obviously thought provoking, just the name in itself. So how did you come up with that name?
So basically, when I first started rapping seriously, I was in the military, probably about, I say 99. I used to call myself John Doe, and that's somebody who's kind of anonymous. That's everybody. I'm that everybody person. I'm that people person. If it's just, you don't know who he is, but you know who he is, you just call him John Doe. So, after a while, I started calling myself the Paperboy. So I end up, I still like Doe, so I didn't want to leave it alone. So I dropped the John and married the Doe to the Paperboy. So, Doe stands for drive over everything. And the Paperboy means I'm here with a message. You know what I'm saying? So even with my branding and marketing, I use a bike to represent the type of determination, the drive that you need to move forward in life. Like, although it's a bike, but you have to pedal it. The most important person is the person that's on it, that's pedaling. So, that's what kind of the concept behind the name is. Sometimes I come out on stage on a bike. You know what I'm saying? That's where it came from, and that's what kind of inspired the name. Because like a lot of rappers they have a straight name, Nas, Jay-Z, and mine's is Doe the Paperboy. So it takes a while before it rolls off the tongue, but once you get it, you get it.
I love that, man. First of all, the fact that you brought up marketing and branding, is that's something that I think new artists right now don't think enough about. And that's the reason we have this show in the first place. Being in the music business for a long time, I've run across a lot of musicians, all genres. I mean, not just hip hop, but R&B, gospel, pop, even, and country. And a lot of the last thing people think about, when they get going, they just want to get the stuff and streaming, but they don't have a business plan behind it. And the fact that your name is your brand. I mean, and the fact that you have your stuff on streaming, but you have a thought behind your name, number one, and behind your branding, which I think it's very important. Give a message to the younger ones out there, man. The younger artists out there that are just starting out. I mean, what is some advice that you can give them to kind of build their brand, so to speak, and kind of think about the music? I mean, what advice would you give them?
So the first thing is, because we live in such an age where everything is kind of digital, it's kind of easy to just put things online and say, okay, it's going to automatically serve itself because it's up. People still have to be drawn to your content, whether it's you dancing, whether it's whatever, your name. So the best thing you could ever do is sit down, take a white piece of paper, draw a circle, put your name in the middle of that circle, right? Draw all of the different things that around in bubbles and make lines back to you of what it is that you're doing, all the areas that you want to impact, whether it's blog radio, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook, anything. And what you have to start to think about is, how am I going to effectively market myself to each of these? Because you have to market yourself to them differently. Everything requires something different. What works on TikTok doesn't work on Facebook. So with myself personally, I would give the advice I would say is, know who you are as an artist, because you can't draw a bubble and draw bubbles around it and connect it back to yourself if you don't know exactly what your aim is on these platforms. You have to be responsible with whatever the message it is, whatever you want to convey, that energy will come back. So if it's positivity and light, it'll come back as positivity and light. If it's negativity, it'll come back as negativity. Now, maybe you're willing to deal with that, then you deal with that. But just understand that ultimately, whatever those bubbles are that are around you and the energy you create, is going to draw back to you. And I use myself for an example. At one point in time, Kanye was in a debate with Sway, and Sway kept telling him, hey, Kanye, you got your own sneaker. You don't need Nike. You don't need Adidas. And Kanye kept saying, yes, you do. They control everything, blah, blah, blah. Well, as I was having that conversation, listening to that conversation, I got upset because I have my own sneaker. It's called the bike sneaker. And basically, you can go on my website, driveovereverything.com, and see the shoe. We put a bike on the tongue of a shoe. We designed it in China. We imported 500 pair in 2013. And I've sold 450 pair of those shoes. So I still got about 50 pair left that I don't plan on selling because I just want to keep them as like art pieces for myself. But that just goes to show you that if you put things out, people will support. But it's bigger than just the music. That's why they offer 360 deals now, because they want a piece of who you are as an artist. If you're one-dimensional with your name, one-dimensional with your movement, one-dimensional with your thoughts, they can't get all of these other things out of you because there's no depth to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's my message I would give to the youngest is, create something that has depth to it. You know what I'm saying? Something that has depth, something that's going to, help you be great. Don't limit yourself.
Man, you got a shoe?
Yeah. You say, yeah, I got my own sneaker.
All right, man, listen. All right, we got to talk, man. we got to talk after the show because I want to push your shoe on our site because I mean that the fact that you went out and did that's incredible. I mean that's like Shark Tank stuff. I mean that's something that go out and sell it, to the world. That's awesome, man. Just incredible. So that shows that's motivation, that's drive, and anybody listening right now. I mean this is a perfect masterclass. We have masterclass series. This is the perfect masterclass to show what you can do if you put your mind to something. And I mean the music's one thing, but you're building an entire brand. So that's I give you kudos for that, man.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
So let's talk about your music. Some of the new music that I know you've been around out there. But first of all, what was your first album and how has it evolved into your new music? And let's talk about your old music and then how it's led to your new music and what people can hear.
Okay, so my first album was Donation 1. Like prior to that, I had a few mixtapes and stuff. I wouldn't count those because I'm rocking on other people's beats, so I wouldn't consider it to be mine. You know what I'm saying? But my first album was Donation 1. It was a great album. I didn't have my legalities in place like I needed it to be, so I was limited on how I could move forward. So now you got Second Harvest, where I am now, a few other albums in between. And what I've learned is when you don't take the time to put the legalities in place when you're creating things, then what it ends up doing is it limits and stunts the growth of whatever it is that you're trying to create. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, between Donation and Second Harvest, man, I feel like I've grown as a businessman, as an artist, as a lyricist in so many different ways. And it's just, the music has evolved with the wisdom that's within me. So it's a lot of growth.
But you're talking about legalities. Are you talking about copywriting your music?
Absolutely. I'm talking about from the standpoint of ASCAP, split sheets, down to perfect example. I just had I was about to say I don't want to talk about myself, but we're actually here to talk about me, so let me talk about it. I actually had one of my records played on AEW Wrestling on TNT about 2 weeks ago by this guy named Sugar Dunkins, and they called him Pineapple Pete. Chris Jericho calls him that. It was a song called Vert, and the conversation with that was simple as this. It was, hey, Doe, I got an opportunity for you to have your music played on AEW. I'm going to send you a contract. If you can fill it out with the proper stuff, we can play your record on TV. I sent it over to my guy, Hud. He filled out the proper information, ASCAP, copyright information, and they actually aired it on TNT. Had I not had my paperwork in order, let's say we was in a Donation 1 era, it would have never happened. So I was going to limit myself.
Yeah, I mean that's important. Now listen, when I interviewed Denise Williams and Roosevelt George. Okay, Denise Williams, a 4-time Grammy winner. Roosevelt George, a Grammy award-winning songwriter. And when I asked them that question about what advice would you give, the first thing that came out of their mouth was copyright your music. That was the first thing that they both said without being prompted on anything. So the fact that you brought it up too, in 2 weeks, I have had 3 people say the same thing. That is a good message to everybody out there. And even the name, the Stage Door Show, my show, I trademarked that name so nobody can use it. There's a lot of stage doors out there, but the Stage Door Show, I own that. So that's one of the things that I think people don't think about, new musicians. So yeah, man, the fact that you copyright your music and publish it and belong to, all the different publishing groups. I mean, that's something that's really, really important for people to know. So let's talk about your new music. Cause I know that, I want to talk about some of the new stuff that we had, like, Now You Know, and there's some other ones out there too. Talk about some of your new singles that we can go on to Spotify and the other streaming services and download right now. I mean, what are some of those songs?
Okay, so you off the rip, you get More Play. That's actually a hidden track that you have to find behind this record called The Way, track 15 on the album.
Back then I was watching, no guys just shopping. Big cribs, big chains, big diamonds and watches. No facts, just big drip. The rap game need an IV. Money can't get you everything. It ain't enough around for them to buy me. Days loaf, try me. 17 fake ID. I was in the club yelling, throw it up. Foundation of me growing up. Thank God for a second chance. Thank God for a better way. Dark nights turn to bright skies. Worst hours turn to better days.
You have Commas, which is kind of like a play off of, I don't know if a lot of people know who Camp Lo is, but I'm a Camp Lo fan. They had a song called Lucchini, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of a play off of that, but it's like a 2020 version of Lucchini.
14, it was clear, and you gon' have to grind and make it here. You need a job, a career, or you go rob and trap with Trill. I said, look, I think that I can see a way out. Maybe so, selling trees. We won't plan in no treehouse. My mama told me, please, you won't even last a day out with
and
the numbers.
you know, then you got like Vert. That's the record I'm kind of pushing, like, you know, towards my TikTok audience that want to dance.
Work, we ain't never been the same. Phone jumping for the work. Don't get it confused. I was talking about the merch out in trafficking, trapping it. I was on it first. I wasn't waiting on the first. On the 15th, I was slaying 16. If you need advice from the brother, man, I charge a parade. What I'm saying is a couple bands. Can't you see the logic in that? I'm consistent, and honestly, it's obviously fake.
Do something, you know, like from that aspect. You know, I got a lot of elements in hip hop in my album, and then I got a record called Satellites. And the direction with Satellites is amazing because it's talking about guidance. It's talking about something to guide you through the night.
Satellite, got me right shining in these blinding lights. I won't ever fold, trying to crack the code. Hope I make it home before they take me home. Yo, we can't flow together, we can't grow together. I be looking for the smoke like a smoke detector. Yellow tape, caution flags. When I'm in the booth, that's the aftermath. In school I ducked first period.
And ironically, at this place we are now, we got Elon Musk putting up this thing called Starlink. A lot of people don't even know about. They're going to put 12,000 satellites in space by 2029. So, you know, everybody's talking about 5G, not to be off subject, but they don't understand the infrastructure that's being built outside of space just to control the narrative of where we are. You know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I'm just saying, ironically, that situation exists. My album exists, so I definitely going to use that to market my product. So, you know, just it's a great album, man. I mean, 1 through 15, you're going to enjoy it. It's really a ride. You put yourself in the car or you in the house and press play on one and listen to it all the way through, and you'll really get a huge understanding of who I am, where I came from, and what I'm trying to play.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this again, like I talked about earlier. But go to YouTube. Everybody that's listening, go to YouTube and pull up, you know, Doe The Paperboy, More Play. The video is amazing. Black and white. You know, whoever did your photography was amazing. I mean, it was very, very well done. But talk about, you know, when this thing ends, this quarantine, you know, is over with, and we're able to go back out and, you know, go to shows and to go to the theaters and go to, you know, go see you perform on stages. You know, what are you looking to do actually when this thing ends? I mean, are you looking to do a tour? Are you looking to, you know, perform locally? I mean, what's your plans?
So what I had scheduled prior to this happening, I was going to do a listening event, you know, to kind of kick my album off. So I'm still going to do it after the fact. And then what I plan on doing is probably going ahead and doing a release event, you know, things like that. But as soon as that's done, because I always want to serve my immediate area first, I'm working on getting overseas. And then I want to make an impact over there. Like, you know, I might spend a week or two over there just networking and building with a few people. Because what I've noticed is even with social ads and marketing and things like that with Facebook and YouTube ad search and things like that, you get a better response because, you know, whatever the GDP is overseas, it's cheaper to market. So I want to go into that market and see if they receive me the same way they've been receiving the content that I've been pushing. You know what I'm saying? So I've been marketing heavy overseas, man, you know, because it's like such a huge population. So, you know, that's one of my plans, man. I do love the United States. I'm definitely going to do some things here. I had planned to go to South by Southwest. That actually got canceled. So, you know, I'm going to be looking for as many music festivals as I can. I want to get out to X Games. Definitely want to get out there in that atmosphere and just network and build because, you know, I got a bike brand. You know, I have a bike shoe. If I can get one of those riders to throw a sneaker on, you know, I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And so basically what I'm thinking is once this is over, I plan to be very strategic in my approach. Very strategic. I'm going to lay everything out, and I'm going to follow whichever the way the wind blows, man. You know what I'm saying? 1 minute is going to be trying to get to the X Games to market the sneaker. I might find myself in a situation when I'm able to perform. I might be overseas trying to get to Latvia, Riga, because they've really taken my music in heavy over there for whatever reason. They got a nice hip-hop culture already. Researched it from an underground perspective. So that's what I'm going to be doing, man, once this is all over. I'm going to get out here in this world, man, and really put my message out.
Are you taking advantage right now of Zoom and Skype and some of the, you know, being that you have, you know, a presence overseas? Are you looking to do any shows on that kind of platform?
Oh, absolutely. Me and the team was just trying to figure out, you know, what element we would use to broadcast because we noticed that some people's sound quality is great, some people's sound quality is terrible. They got $200 programs, they got free programs, they got $600 programs that you can actually, cam up different types of mics and all kinds of stuff like that, and angles. And so we want to just make sure we do the right thing. I think I'm going to end up going with Zoom because they let you do a screen share type thing. And what I want to do is I want it to be something bigger than just me up there rapping. I want to be able to play video, right after I finish performing a song, and then I want to bring it back and maybe like pre-record an interview and share that, maybe a few moments of that, and just like give the viewers an experience, because you can share to Facebook from Zoom. You know what I'm saying? So I think I want to end up doing that. The guy, Mattis Yahoo, he was actually live on Facebook today with multiple screens. And I was like, man, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? I actually seen him perform live. He's one of the people I actually look up to.
All right. So another thing I wanted to ask you is what are some of the new projects that you have working on right now that we're in quarantine? Is there anything that for our listeners that they can expect? Yeah.
So obviously, as all artists are, hopefully still writing music, coming up with ways to push more content visually, outside of having to go shoot those expensive videos and things with timing. So what I've been doing, as far as on Facebook, pushing content, running my ads, really targeting demographically. And you can find me on Facebook at Doe The Paperboy, just like my name is, DoeThePaperboy. Give me a like, you know what I'm saying? Check me out. Leave a comment. I'll comment back. I'm very interactive with my audience. I just recently, since this happened, got back on Twitter because I was anti-Twitter for a long time. But I started to realize that what the problem was, I was using it wrong. So on Twitter, I'm DoeHoodie 804. It's Doe Hoodie 804. And I use that because that's kind of one of the things, the staple pieces. The hoodie is how I branded myself initially, and people went crazy. Everybody was selling T-shirts. I went to hoodies with all these different colors, and I mean, the floodgates opened up. That's another conversation. Something I do on Twitter, I do this hip-hop trivia either Wednesdays or every Thursday, and I reward people through Cash App. I ask 10 questions about hip-hop, 5 of them about my album. The other 5 are just general questions about hip-hop. It might be about Drake. It might be about anything. And whoever answers first or responds first, with the most accuracy, then I reward them and tally up at the end and then send out the Cash Apps. People really like that. It's been very interactive for me as far as audience and building with people. You never know who needs what, so it actually helps people out. On, Instagram, you can follow me at, same thing again, DoeThePaperboy, Doe The Paperboy, and also at Drive Over Everything, Drive Over Everything. That's my Instagram, and my website is www.driveovereverything.com. Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Doe The Paperboy, everywhere, all digital platforms.
It's just amazing the way you brand yourself, and like I said, everybody listening right now, indie artists out there. I mean, this is really the way to do it. All right, so everybody, Doe The Paperboy, man, I can't thank you enough for being on my show. You've really enlightened, I think, not only myself but the viewer or the listeners out there. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come on my show tonight.
No problem, man. It was an honor to be here. Like I said, I've been following you on social media for a little minute since I got back on my Twitter and realized what you were doing, and I just checked out a few interviews, and I was like, wow, like I would love to be interviewed by this guy because he has a vision for what he wants his questions to sound like. It has direction to your show, and I like it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And, my best of luck to you and not only the stuff that you're doing right now, but also the future projects that you're working on. I wish you nothing but success, and, I hope you have a great night and stay safe out there.
Absolutely. You too, man.